When we talk about character,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about yourself as a character, it can be difficult to bridge that gap from, oh, my experiences are just memories,
Right.
to taking that step back
Right.
and looking at the person that you are.
Right.
Everything, all your hopes, all your dreams, all your goals,
Mm-hmm.
as an outside character, as
Right.
something that you're kind of observing from a mile high view.
Exactly.
But when you begin to do that, that's when you get this, again, mile high view
Mm-hmm.
of your experiences.
Right.
That's when you can really look at yourself as the character in a story.
Right. Essentially, what you're doing is stepping outside of your comfort zone, outside of just your thoughts and emotions, and observing and looking at it as a person, not that a detached person that has feelings and emotions outside of just your own personal thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And you're able to look and analyze and look at the descriptors, look at the experiences to see how that helps define that person. And then when you're able to attach that person to be you, you now get to craft how you want to see that character, that main character, how you want to see them progress and advance throughout life. And it's a really interesting way to observe yourself and describe yourself, where you're thinking outside of not just negative thoughts. And you're able to assign positivity to that person in those experiences, and it can be very strong and very powerful, especially in goal attainment, in progressing out throughout life. And it's just something that we don't normally do within society. But when you have the opportunity to in a sense write the story for the main character, it allows you to be a little bit more creative in possible outcomes. Sometimes we just think about, oh, what are my goals? It's like, man, I don't know, because you associate so many possible negative comments with it. Well, this goal attainment, I want to do this, but this happened, so I'm not really sure. We can take a step back and say, you know what? If Jaren, the main character in this play, or the main character in the story called Life, if he had no boundaries and wanted to be happy, what would that look like? And you start to describe those things with your own personal feelings and emotions. What you can find can be very powerful and very strong for yourself in developing resilience to push through those many barriers that can happen throughout life. Great thing you could do.
Well, you mentioned barriers. I think of barriers as being another word for conflicts.
Exactly. That's exactly what they are. And it goes back to the three things that we talked about. It's the second step. Those are our conflicts, those barriers. Expand upon it. What were you saying?
Yeah, so, the thing is, when you look at any story, the thing that people care about are those conflicts.
Yep.
Conflicts
Exactly.
are what keep people interested.
Right. Yeah.
When you watch a movie, you're not interested in the person's adjectives. You're not interested in learning typically, like, oh, okay, he's a mailman. Great.
Very true.
What you're interested in is all of the things that keep him from attaining that goal. So when we're sharing our stories, we can't be afraid to talk about when things were difficult,
Right.
when
Exactly.
moments were hard in our lives.
Right.
Because that's what people care about.
Mhm.
That's what people are interested in hearing. It's when you lean forward in your chair is when you see what the difficulty that someone has to overcome.
Right, I agree. And it's very interesting, even in pop culture today, when you think about the movies that have been able to have staying power and continue to make sequel after sequel, and continue to make movies. Like right now, I'm thinking about Fast and Furious 7. Like the goal
We're
is
gonna
always.
date. I'm sorry, this is gonna date us.
This is,
when
but-
Fast and the Furious 20
12 comes out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like right now, we're in the 7th of the Fast and Furious series. Now, the end goal is always the same. You either are trying to win the race or stop the person that's the bad guy in the car. And it's always about the pursuit. And every single video just ups the ante to the conflict to get to this bad guy in this car or plane, and how they drive through buildings, over people, explosions, through banks, past multiple federal agents, unscathed, and somehow they still live to tell the story the next day. 7 series of conflict. not much of a goal, but a whole lot of conflict. And we're drawn to it.
That's a good point.
It's crazy.
And the thing about
That's
our
crazy.
goals, man, is that when you say the word goal,
Mm-hmm.
it draws to mind this lofty thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh, my goal is to be the CEO of a company. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is to blanking on all of life's goals right now.
No. Let's see.
But the idea is like this
the-
lofty thing. It's
the,
what you
the
think
American
of.
dream, a nice house, white picket fence, it's just an idea, and sometimes it can be just a mental image or something, but when you really dig deep and understand, like, why are these things your goals, that's when you really define your goals. Like, if your goal is, like, I want to be happy, what are all those barriers that are keeping you from being happy and achieving that goal? Like, they're like needs or wants that we all have bubbling within us that essentially get us to the pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And so for each person, these goals are different, and each goal that we have set for ourselves is equally important to each individual. And it's very interesting that we always say, what are your life goals, or where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you're just like, oh, I just want to be successful, or I want to have a good paying job. But when we're talking about goals, like those real deep down goals that define our happiness and our purpose, then it becomes much more than that. But that takes practice. That takes really sitting down, taking a lot of time to look within and figure out, what are the things that at the end of the day I'll be satisfied and happy if I can achieve. Those are those real goals. Now you can have primary, small primary goals that can be accomplished, throughout your daily life. But when we talk about story and the story of your life, your goals are those things where if I check this off the list, man, I'm one happy individual. If I'm able to do this for free for the rest of my life, that's my goal. That to obtain that. And so for each person it could be different, but for each person it's equally important. But it's also key that we reflect and describe these goals in depth as much as possible. And the easiest way to do that is by, creating a story for that main character.
You've left me with something to think about, Jaron. All right, I think we're done here.
Cool beans.